This is the 2022 Volkswagen Golf GTI, and here it is, the Mark 8. And it's completely new from the ground up. It is the Golf that even today defines what we call the hot hatch. It's small, sporty, fast, practical, and I think the ultimate family car. The Mark 1 Golf was launched in 1974 as a replacement for the Volkswagen Beetle. Now, the Beetle at that time was a car that the working class could afford, and being a wartime effort, Volkswagen knew that the car had a few drawbacks. So, some planning happens, and then Giorgetto Giugiaro of Italian Design brings to the world the first Volkswagen Golf, the Mark 1, with its boxy design and horizontal grille. And after that, the Golf became a huge runaway success, selling more than 6.99 million units worldwide. Now, coming to the Mark 8, what's new for 2022? Where they get redesigned exteriors and interiors. Limited slip differential is now standard across all the variants, and you also get optional adaptive dampers. The engine output remains almost the same, 245 horsepower and 370 Newton meters of torque from a 2-liter 4-cylinder petrol, and that is mated to a 7-speed DSG Autobox, which shifts pretty quick and is efficient, and it gives us a fuel economy of about 10 to 12 kilometers per liter on the daily driving. Now, coming to the exteriors, what has changed really? So in the front, we get this huge mouth-shaped grille on the bottom with these X-shaped DRLs, basically the fog lights, and you have these 5 LED hexagons on each side. You also have this GTI badge right here, your new Volkswagen logo. And coming to the headlights, so we have these full LED headlamps which use Volkswagen's IQ Light technology, which basically means that they're full LED matrix headlamps. And then we have this huge strip of DRL running on the front, which some people think it's weird, but I think it looks absolutely stunning. And right above that, we have this red line because it is the GTI. Now, coming to the side profile, we get these sharp cut fenders which house the 18-inch Richmond alloy wheels, and they do have the red brake calipers, as this is the GTI trim. If you had the Golf R, you would have the blue brake calipers. Coming to the side, we do have the GTI badge in red, of course. We have electronically folding rear view mirrors, and they do have the blind spot warnings on the side of the mirror instead of being on the mirror. Then we do have keyless entry and go, so you have the essentials. You have the key in the pocket, you can place your hand and open the door, and once you close the door, you can lock the car by just placing your hand on this sensor. Now, coming to the rear profile, we get these full LED taillight clusters for the Golf GTI, which use Volkswagen's IQ Light technology, and they're actually absolutely stunning at night. You have the sequential LED turn lights over here, and one of the beautiful parts of this tail light is the way how its design just flushes into the body panels, and that's a really cool touch. Coming below, we have our sporty bumpers and the dual exhaust on each side, and then in the center we have the Volkswagen logo and the GTI badge right here. Now, watch what happens when I click on this Volkswagen logo. So you just pinch it up from the top, and that's the way how you open the boot on the Volkswagen Golf. Now, the boot is quite practical. You have 374 liters of boot space, which is quite big. You can store maybe a suitcase in here, and below this you have a flap, which if you open, it reveals the spare tire, and you have your Golf 8 GTI advertisement plates. It doesn't come with the actual car. We have a 12-volt charging socket right here, which is illuminated, and you also have this first aid kit from Volkswagen, and that's pretty much that's there in the boot. Now, it's in the interiors where the actual changes have taken place. In the front, you get beautiful leather tri-tone power adjusted seats, but they do not have a headrest. We get a 10.25-inch digital instrument cluster here in the center, where it displays multiple information, and you can also change between different views by clicking this view button on the steering wheel. So you click this, it changes between the different views. So you have your classic dials, then you have the navigation, and in the navigation you can actually look at it, like you can zoom it and zoom out using the capacitive touch buttons on the steering wheel. So that's pretty cool. You can click the view button and then go to your normal plain view, and this is my personal favorite because it also has a stopwatch in it where you can track your lap times, something very essential in a GTI because it's a track car. Now coming to the steering wheel, we get a sporty steering wheel with the Golf GTI. It's a leather wrapped steering wheel. You have your GTI badge right here with red inserts. You have buttons on steering wheel which are capacitive touch buttons. So here you have your OK button, and you can change between the different views. You click on the view button, you can change the views for the instrument cluster. On this side you have your cruise control. So you click this button, it brings up your assist systems, and then you can increase and decrease the volume using these capacitive touch buttons, and these buttons kind of work pretty okay. It's not really that difficult to use, and it does give you the haptic feedback on your fingertips, so it's pretty understandable. Here you have your button by which you can enable the steering wheel heating. Then coming to this side, this right here is the new infotainment screen which you have in the Volkswagen Golf, one that many journalists and golf enthusiasts have complained about, but I'm going to give you my honest verdict on this. Now this system, well, it's pretty basic. You have your home button and you have your applications and all your regular stuff. So you have your radio and media, you have your navigation, so you can search your nearest destination, you can type in your destination, you have the map. So yeah, it is a little bit laggy system, not the most fluidest. Then you can also adjust the background lighting. You have this light spectrum over here to choose between the different colors. So as you can see, it does change the color by doing that for the footwells and all your ambient lighting. Then you have your vehicle settings where it brings up this Golf. So basically they have brought out every button control and important vehicle functions onto the screen. So you click on this vehicle icon, it brings up the Golf GTI, and you can check the status of different items from the screen right here. So you have settings for your mirrors, you have settings for the tires, headlights. So you can turn the car around to access the different functions that you have. So this is brakes, then you have your center locking and window controls. So all of those essential controls are actually put into this screen, and I think a few controls could have been put. For example, the start stop button could have been put here because you'll have to actually take your time off the road to switch this on. Here you have your driving data. So right now we've been achieving about 8.7 kilometers per liter, but if you don't push it too much, I think you can get around 10 to 12 as we had on our yesterday's driving statistics. So this is since start. You have your long term, so you've been getting 13.5 long term, and since the last refuel it's been doing 9.7, and it's pretty fine actually for a sports car and this size of the engine. Here you have your sound settings. This again not the most intuitive. You have 5 different audio setting controls. A normal consumer would prefer a bass, treble and mid, but here they've given controls for each different settings, which I think wasn't absolutely necessary. But you have your different quick shortcut buttons over here as well for different audio modes. The sound system on this car is by Harman Kardon, and it's a very impressive sound system and it does sound very good. Then here you can adjust your other sound settings and your surround settings. And then coming to the other controls, so here we have our volume controls right here. So these are also touch capacitive buttons, and here you have the individual temperature adjustments for both the driver and the passenger. And now that brings us to another functional flaw of this cabin. Now this panel right here, from where you adjust the temperature, volume and all that, doesn't light up at night. Now when you're driving at night and you want to increase the temperature, because the volume can be adjusted from here, so if you're increasing the temperature, you might accidentally touch your hand here on the volume controls, which either decreases or increases the volume, and that's kind of a nuisance. But once you get used to it, I think it's going to be pretty fine. Here in the center we again have more touch capacitive buttons. So we have the mode button right here. So you have 4 driving modes: eco, comfort, sport, which just makes everything very sharp, and you have individual, where you can choose between the different settings for steering, drive, engine, sound, air conditioning, etc. And then we have our park assist menu. So here we have the park assist and the park distance control. You have your different driver assist systems, so it brings up your IQ drive. You have adaptive cruise control, side assist, which is a lane change system. You have the driver alert system and your autonomous emergency braking. Coming below, we have our two multimedia ports, which is basically two USB-C ports. We have your ambient lighting here, revealing the Golf badge. Here you have a wireless charging pad. Since many of the functions are actually shifted to the screen, the center console is actually quite empty. So you have a small compartment right here to keep some things like your key. So how you change this is basically you do this. You get into drive, shift into neutral, reverse. So this is the reverse parking camera which you have on the Volkswagen Golf. It does have adaptive guidelines as well, and that's pretty much it for the reverse parking system. Then to get into park, you can just click this park button, just like modern day cars. You have your engine start stop button right here, and this starts pulsating in red before you switch on the car. You have your electronic parking brake, which can be engaged by just pulling up this trigger, and you can disengage it by just clicking on it once. Then you have your auto hold feature, which basically keeps the car still when stopped at a traffic light and prevents it from rolling back. Very essential feature. Then coming to the side here, we have two cup holders where you can store your drinks. You also have a 12-volt charging socket. So you click this, it brings out this trigger. So this is also again very useful. So this is this is the central console. So it can be slide forward and backward, and you can open it like this and reveals you a storage space. Here on the side we have our headlight controls, and they're also capacitive touch buttons. You have your AC vents right here, which are very sleek and they flush into the interior design. Coming to the door cards, you have your ambient lighting right here. These are again hard plastics. These are soft plastics, so you have a mixture of both the materials on the door cards. Then these are the door handles. You have central locking right here, and your regular window controls and the mirror adjustment controls. Right below that you have your bottle holders in the door cards. Again, they're quite big enough. And right now I am in the rear seats of the Volkswagen Golf, and immediately I can say I am quite snug over here. So I have enough amount of knee room, enough amount of headroom. Well, underside support is almost there. Taller passengers might find it a little bit more inconvenient. Same goes for the headroom. You have ambient lighting that goes over here, and you have seat pockets over here for both the driver and the passenger seat. So you have two pockets right here, like to store your phones, and you have a larger pocket right here. For additional convenience, the rear seat passengers also have climate control, so you can adjust the temperature by clicking these buttons right here. You also get two USB-C ports here on the bottom, and we pull this flap right here. You also have a central armrest with two cup holders, which is very nice. So this is not the most spacious rear seat, but it's good enough for a hatchback. So that was all for the Golf review. If you enjoyed this video, please hit that subscribe button and also comment down below which car you'd like to see next. Once again, stay safe, have a great day, and goodbye.